طيب شكرا لحضوركم. بلال قباني من شركة جوجل من دبي. نحن كثير سعيدين لوجودنا معكم اليوم. البرزنتيشن حتكون شوي أطول من زميلي اللي قدم على انستغرام. إن شاء الله ما زهقكم كثير، بس إن شاء الله حتكون مفيدة وانترستينج. الموضوع اليوم الكل سمعني؟ إذا في حدا ما سمعني بليز. أوكي. الموضوع اليوم عن مثل ما شايفين من التايتل، كيف ممكن نسخر الانترنت لصالح شركات السياحة والسفر في المملكة. حنغطي كذا موضوع. أول شيء حبيت شوي أحكيكم عن شركة جوجل وليش جوجل وترافل، شو علاقة جوجل بالترافل وبالسياحة والسفر. حنحكي شوي عن الأونلاين ترندز، شو العناوين الكبيرة اللي عم بتغير الطريقة اللي عم يستعملوا فيها العالم الانترنت في المنطقة. حنتكلم شوي على the 5 stages of travel. شو الجيرني اللي بيمرق فيها كل مستخدم لما يكون عم بيعمل بلاننج next trip or next vacation. واخر شيء حنحكي شوي عن كيف نطبق كل هالمعلومات to make the most of the web, so to increase the revenues and the sales by leveraging the power of the internet and the power of the web. So أول شيء نحكي شوي عن جوجل. Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. وهذا الشيء بلش بالسيرش انجن مثل ما كلكم بتعرفوا. يعني السيرش انجن this is how it looked like in 1994. So a very basic search engine, you put a keyword and you get a list of 10 blue links. السيرش انجن تطور كثير عبر السنين، وجوجل تطورت كثير. يعني so it's no longer about only the search engine. It's also about Android. We have 1.3 million Android devices activated every day. في نص مليار Android device in the market. YouTube طبعا it was acquired years ago by Google. It's the largest video platform on the web. 4 billion video views per day, 72 hours of video uploaded every minute globally. هنحكي شوي عن يوتيوب أكتر. طبعا في الجوجل سيرش انجن، في كروم the number one internet browser globally. جوجل بلس، جوجل مابس. So الشركة تطورت كتير وصار في كذا product وكذا platform, more than one platform, but everything serves the same purpose of making information universally accessible and useful. Even search تطورت كتير. يعني إذا أنتم بتعملوا search هلا على ليوناردو دافنشي على جوجل، حتلاحظوا إنه it's no longer just about the 10 blue links. جوجل الالجوريثم of جوجل تطور كتير، صار بيعرف إنه ليوناردو دافنشي is a person. It has a date of birth. Google knows that it's an artist, so في certain artworks مثل الموناليزا. صار جوجل كبلاتفورم أذكى و it understands the search query and it gives you more than 10 blue links مثل ما شايفين بهذا الإكزامبل. Talking specifically about travel, if you search for points of interest in Dubai, كمان you no longer get only the 10 blue links, but you get اللي مثل اللي شايفينه فوق اللي هو the strip of pictures that shows the points of interest بشكل صور. بقى السيرش انجن عم يتطور، وحتى في انتجريشن للجوجل مابس، سو بتشوفوا انتم اللوكيشن تبع دبي وين، معلومات عن دبي، مساحتها، البوبوليشن. فاذا السيرش عم يتطور ومش بس 10 blue links. It's much more than that and it's much more useful. Talking specifically about travel, search is also becoming what we call the go-to source for travelers. So إذا travelers عم بيبلشوا تخطيط للرحلة، most travelers, for them the search engine is the number one step, whether they are searching for accommodation. So مثلا in this example, if you search for hotels, you get some ads for different types of hotels. You get the map with the location of hotels. So في تطور حتى من ناحية السيرشز اللي هن مختصين بالترافل. حتى flight options. يعني إذا في search about flights from Dubai to Riyadh, for example, it's not only about the 10 blue links. You still get the links, but you also get the list of flights مع التوقيت، مع which days do they fly from مع الايرلاين, is it Emirates, is it Gulf Air, is it Saudiya, and the departure and the arrival times. And even for more information, so beyond accommodation, beyond flights, if you are traveling to Riyadh and you want to know the currency exchange, all you have to do is search ريال سعودي, وبتعرفوا انه الريال السعودي is $0.26. If you want to know the weather in your destination, the weather in Jeddah, for example, and you get this beautiful graph on the right which shows the temperature and the trend of the temperature and the humidity. If you want to know the time difference, you could search for time in Riyadh and you also get the local time in Riyadh. So as you can see, search is evolving a lot and it's becoming much more useful. Google is going beyond just the search engine. There are two products. واحد منهم اسمه google.com/hotels or hotel finder, where you can search for hotels on that hotel specialized search engine. So مثل ما شايفين بهذا الexample, if you searched for hotels in Riyadh, you get the list of hotels, you get the prices, you get the map and where are they located in Riyadh on the map. Same thing for flights. So google.com/flights, all of those products are still new. They might not be in the best shape for the Middle East, بس عم يتطوروا بسرعة كتير وحيكونوا متواجدين بالمنطقة بشكل كتير سريع. In this example, flights from, I can't read it very well, but I think it's from Dubai to Riyadh. Again, you can see the different flights with the fares, with the airline, with the departure and arrival time, with the flight duration. This is an example from today. So I was coming on a flight from Dubai to Riyadh, an Emirates flight, and my flight got delayed by 4 hours. So this is an example of what we call Google Now. Google Now is the next generation of Google. So it's basically information being pushed to your mobile devices without you asking for it. So this happened, I can't see the time exactly, but I think it was around 8 o'clock. I was getting ready to leave the house to take my flight, and I got a notification without me asking for the information. I got the notification that my flight is delayed by 4 hours, which you can see there. So obviously I slept for 4 more hours, which was great. But this is one of the examples on how Google is progressing and it's developing, and it's no longer becoming just people asking for information. It's also information being pushed proactively without you asking for it. And if you're asking how did Google know that I was traveling, it was basically the ticket was in my Gmail. So Google picks up on the flight information from my Gmail account, and it uses that information to provide me with very useful information at the right time. So this is why Google and travel. Why is Google so interested in travel? Let's talk a little bit more about some of the major online trends in the Middle East. The internet penetration first in the Middle East is growing, so it's not a secret. It's reaching record levels. معظم العالم صار عندهم access على الويب وعلى الانترنت بالشرق الأوسط. إذا بتشوفوا الأرقام، في عنا around 30 million people connected in Egypt. Morocco 16.5 million, Saudi Arabia 13 million people. So almost half of the population in Saudi is connected. If we look at the penetration, so the percentage of people who have access to the internet in those countries, and look at the GCC countries. So Qatar, 86% of the population is online. Bahrain 77%, Kuwait 74%, UAE 71%, Saudi 49%. So almost everyone is now having access to the internet. What's more interesting about the region is the mobile penetration. So we spoke a little bit about Instagram in the previous session. And this is one of the reasons why Instagram is so popular in the region. If you look at the smartphone penetration of Saudi Arabia and of UAE, it's ahead of the most developed markets, even in like the UK and the United States. So 74% of people have a smartphone in the UAE. 73% have a smartphone in Saudi Arabia. So huge numbers, very surprising. I'm not sure if you've seen this picture before, but this is the same event. It's the election of the Pope. It's Pope Francis in 2005. Sorry, Pope Benedict in 2005 and Pope Francis in 2013. Same location, same event, just 8 years apart. And look at the penetration of smartphones and tablets between the two pictures. Another major trend in the region is YouTube and video in general. If you take MENA as one country or one region, MENA is only second after the United States in terms of YouTube consumption. So in terms of number of views on YouTube, MENA is ranked 2 globally after the United States. The number of videos viewed in MENA every day is 300 million. It's growing 100% year on year, so it's basically doubling every year. There are 2 hours of video uploaded every minute. كل دقيقة في ساعتين من محتوى الفيديو عم يطلع على يوتيوب. بالمملكة العربية السعودية YouTube is ranked number 2 after google.com. So after the search engine of Google, YouTube is the second most visited website. It's the third in Egypt, third in UAE, and third in Morocco. So globally, there are 6 billion views every day, and 300 million of those views are happening in the Middle East. So again, Saudi Arabia, it's by far the most advanced market when it comes to YouTube. So as a ratio of number of views divided by the population, Saudi Arabia ranks number 1 globally. It's the second most visited website, which I mentioned earlier. And YouTube reaches 85% of the 16-year-old plus population of internet users in Saudi Arabia. So if you take the segment of internet users in Saudi who are aged 16 years and above, 85% are using YouTube. Another major trend in the region, which is also very interesting for travel companies, e-commerce أو المبيعات عن طريق الطريقة الإلكترونية عم تنمى بشكل كتير سريع. PayPal expects المبيعات توصل ل $15 مليار بال 2015. والكاتيجوري رقم 1 بالمبيعات الإلكترونية هي الترافل. فإذا العالم بالشرق الأوسط والمستخدم بالشرق الأوسط عندهم قابلية يشتروا منتوجات سياحة وسفر عن طريق الإنترنت. إذا بنحكي عن الترافل bookings in general, 33% of the travel globally is happening online. حجم المبيعات globally is $313 billion, only travel and tourism, online purchases. بالشرق الأوسط we expect 18% growth year on year in e-commerce for travel and tourism. And Focusrite expects حجم المبيعات for travel and tourism in the Middle East that's happening online to reach $16 billion this year. So let's talk a little bit about the 5 stages of travel, which is the user journey of the traveler. How does it look like online and offline? So what we always refer to is this framework of 5 steps, which starts with the dreaming phase. And these 5 steps were always there. So the travel journey, in essence, did not really change since 20 years ago. The only big change is that now it's happening increasingly more online and on the web. But the online travel journey always starts with the dreaming phase. So this is when we are brainstorming with ourselves, with our friends, with our family about, we're just planning to go on a trip. It's followed by researching, which is a more serious effort that is put behind researching, finding the right accommodation, finding the right destination, finding the right flight. After the researching, obviously comes booking. So booking the hotel, booking the flight, booking all the transportation. After that, obviously, there's experiencing. So this is when we are in destination, living and experiencing the travel experience. And then there's the sharing, which is throughout the whole journey. We always share on Facebook or on Instagram our travel plans, whether we are in destination or whether we are planning a certain trip. A lot of people share what they are planning to do. Or if they are in destination, they share pictures of the food they are having, of the beach that they are on, or of anything that they are experiencing in destination. So speaking specifically about the dreaming phase, we've done a research with Ipsos in the Middle East, and it revealed that 81% of leisure travelers in Saudi Arabia have watched an online video to help them decide on a destination. So very important piece of information. YouTube is becoming extremely influential in the dreaming phase and in the phase where people are deciding on the destination. 40% of those users watch the videos on a daily basis. So in terms of researching, this is basically the travel search trends, the travel search queries that are happening on google.com. So any person that is going on google.com to search for a flight or to search for a destination or a hotel, this is represented by that graph. And the red is basically the mobile portion of those searches, and the green is the tablet portion of those searches. And this is Middle East. So you can see how mobile is becoming a much more significant portion of the travel searches that are happening online. Now, what is more surprising is when you look at Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia specifically, 40% of travel searches are happening on mobile, 10% on desktop. So mobile and tablet in Saudi Arabia already are as much as desktop in terms of travel searches. And if we look at the Middle East as a region, where are most of the searches, most of the travel searches coming from? So the number one is United Arab Emirates, number two is Saudi Arabia. Those two markets alone make up almost 50% of all the travel searches on google.com in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East. So it's followed by a lot of other markets, including Morocco, Egypt, the other GCC countries, and so on. But major activity from UAE and Saudi Arabia when it comes to travel on Google. Saudi Arabia specifically, compared to other markets, is people don't plan so much in advance. So if you compare Saudi Arabia to a market like the UK, for example, you can see here that on average, a leisure traveler takes 3.7 weeks to plan a trip, a business traveler 3.8 weeks, and an affluent leisure traveler, so a high-end leisure traveler, takes a little bit more, so 4.3 weeks. So on average, you could say that a typical Saudi traveler plans the trip within 4 weeks from the day he first starts to plan the trip until the day he goes on that trip. What we also notice is a lot of mobile usage. So you could see the mobile and smartphone usage of the Saudi traveler. It surpasses all of the other devices, including tablets, desktops, and laptops. So moving now to the booking stage, and the booking is getting more and more complicated, especially with so many devices around us. So كثير من المستخدمين بيبتدوا الجيرني on a mobile device, then they move to a tablet, then they move to a desktop. So it's becoming very difficult for marketing teams to really measure the impact of smartphones versus tablets versus desktops, because users are changing and switching from one device to another constantly. So in Saudi, 48% of travelers searched for air travel on a smartphone, but only 12% reserved on a smartphone. So we see a lot of searches starting with a smartphone, but not necessarily ending on a smartphone. It doesn't mean smartphone is not valuable. There's a lot of value that is being driven by the smartphone experience, but it's just difficult to measure that value because the conversion is happening on another device. كمان what we are seeing globally is a trend in smartphones to book last minute hotels. So very common مستخدم يكون على الموبايل على السمارت فون يحجز غرفة بفندق معين لنفس الليلة. So 60% of mobile hotel bookings usually are for check-in within 24 hours. Then there's experiencing. So, and this is not, I don't think it will be a surprise for any one of us, but there's a lot of mobile usage while in destination. So 45% of smartphone users researched further information on services available in flight or at their accommodation. 81% of smartphone users looked for local information when they are traveling. So think about the smartphone, كيف ممكن يكون أداة مفيدة while in the destination. So if we're talking about Saudi Arabia as a touristic destination, how can we develop applications and content that can help travelers get the right information while they are in destination? Lastly, there's sharing, and sharing is becoming a key part of the travel journey and the decision making. So 60% of travelers factored online opinions in their decision planning. There are 11.2 sources in the US that were used to make a decision and travel. 48% of social network users follow a travel brand, and 17% of travel purchase decisions are influenced by social media. Again, 89% of social media users share the status while they are in destination, and we've seen this from our friends, from our surrounding. People would be on vacation and they share a certain status on Twitter or on Facebook about what they're doing in destination. 86% share photos. It could be like the examples of Instagram that we saw earlier. 72% users access their accounts while they are in destination. So this is how the journey looks like nowadays with the power of the internet and with the presence of mobile and video. So how do we apply all of this? And this is a framework that is very simple. It's not a Google invention. It's just a framework that we advise all of our customers and partners to apply. But it's basically 3 steps. So the booking journey starts with the awareness. So if a user is not aware of your brand, he will not buy from your brand. So if you are a hotel, an airline, a destination, the first step is to make people aware of who you are, or even aware of your existence. The second step, after they are aware, we want them to consider your brand when they are traveling. So have they thought of that hotel or that airline or that destination when they are making their decision? So we want to be on that consideration set. The last step is purchase. So how do we close the deal? How do we make them buy our product? How do we make them book on our website? It's really as simple as that. Then there's obviously the retention. So how do we make sure that they come again and again and we get repeat business from those customers? But it's basically this framework. It's as simple as that. And it's very useful to always make sure that all of your marketing activities are geared towards building awareness, influencing consideration, and then driving purchase. So talking about those 3 steps one by one, and this is what we refer to as the ACP framework. So we all know offline advertising. It's been there for years and years, and it can be very effective in building awareness. But it has some challenges. So what are the challenges? How do you measure the impact of offline advertising? If you're running a TV commercial, if you're running a print ad, what's the right way to measure, and do we have the tools to measure? Then there's reach. So if you are a small company in Saudi Arabia and you want to reach markets in the UAE or in Oman, it's not very easy to reach those markets if you want to use offline media. You'll have to get a media agency, you'll have to get into big contracts. It's not very accessible for a small travel and tourism company. Affordability. So again, when we talk about TV, it only takes watching a few ad breaks to see that usually the people who advertise on TV are heavy advertisers. They are huge companies with big budgets, and it's not very accessible for small or medium companies. And the last thing is efficiency, which is about targeting. How do you reach the right target through offline media? It's very difficult. I mean, with TV, they can try to reach a certain demographic segment, but they don't have the technology that online advertising has to reach the right segment, exactly the right segment that you want to reach. So let's take an example. Let's say this is the Saudi market. And what if you only want to reach audiences in specific cities? So you want to reach audience only located in Riyadh, or only audiences located in Jeddah or in Dammam. Digital advertising has that technology. You can target users located in specific cities. Or what if you want to reach a certain segment, such as families who travel on vacations in Saudi Arabia? Or maybe males 35 to 44 years of age. And this is all possible through digital advertising. One of the major platforms for display advertising is the Google Display Network, which basically serves advertising on thousands and thousands of websites, such as the ones featured on the slide. And the GDN has a reach in the Middle East and North Africa of 87.3%. So when I talk about GDN or the Google Display Network, this is what I'm talking about. So it's basically banners that are served on many websites. Should I stop? Okay, so short break for Salah.